Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 17 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Ben & Jerry's 400 here at Connecticut Brickyard Park, as we're getting set for 50 laps of racing here at this little over 1 mile racetrack. And it should be interesting considering this track is essentially a repaved and more bricky version of Rockingham. So it's going to be interesting to see the difference between this track and Rockingham in terms of the racing and what else that could happen. But before we get into everything, here is a recap of the point standings after our last race at Canadian Tire. Jesse Turner still hangs on to the points lead, but just barely. He leads by 4 points over his teammate Caleb Kilburn, as they are still going strong in the top 2 in points, and they're being teammates. But now you see the starting lineup for the race. On the pole, Ryan Acosta. I believe that's his first pole of his career, so that's going to be really big for him next season. And his teammate and boss, one of his two bosses, DJ Curtis, is starting right next to him in second. But let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Ben & Jerry's 400 at Connecticut.
Drivers, start your engines!
As everybody gets onto the racetrack for the pace lap around here to get ready for the race. And as I saw in the top 10 in the starting lineup, both of the top 2 drivers in points are starting in the top 10. Caleb Kilburn starting in the 6th position, and Jesse Turner starting in 9th. So both of those drivers, who are also teammates, by the way, out of Average Joe Enterprises, first and second in points, looking to keep their momentum going as the pace car is pulled into pit road. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to boogity 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 go racing. Ryan Acosta got to lead the first lap so far, but now he's got his teammate and boss, DJ Curtis, underneath of him to try and take the race lead away, as both of these drivers are top 20 in points. Ryan Acosta is 10th in points, and DJ Curtis is 16th, so... And actually, as far as overall performance at Curtis McIntyre Racing, the only driver from that team that is not in the top 20 in points is Jonathan Zorline, who's 33rd in points. Kind of a bit shocked by that, considering Zorline had a breakout season back in Season 6, and then this season, he's just not really been the same, although perhaps with a change in numbers, maybe he'll do better in Season 8, as he'll be moving to the 00 car, which Joshua Sekuli currently runs. But regardless, DJ Curtis right now leads, as Rafael Leduc, who is trying to get back on a bit of a rebound, as he's kind of been declining in the past few races. He's 23rd in points. He was at one point in the top 10 in points earlier in the season, and now he's fallen back to 23rd. Perhaps today could be a good day to rekindle his drive for the championship. But right behind Rafael Leduc in third is Johnny Gardner, and now Johnny Gardner, he too is trying to get on a bit of an upswing, as he's 31st in points. Not really had the best season so far here in Season 7, and he's looking to get some momentum going. Meanwhile, in fourth, Jesse Turner, the points leader, trying to extend that points lead a little bit. And then I brought up Jonathan Zorlane earlier. There he is in the 5th position, so good runs going for quite a few of the Curtis McIntyre Racing drivers here at the start, as Zorlane's in 5th. And then right behind him is Ryan Acosta, who slipped back a little bit since the second lap. Perhaps he just wanted to lead that lap and then slipped to the back a little bit to conserve his tires. That, or he just couldn't quite keep up. Then right behind him is Melissa Alexander, who won back at North Wilkesboro just a couple of weeks ago, though she, ever since then, hasn't had the best of streaks going. She's 30th in points, trying to get on the rebound as well. Right behind her is Alyssa Drayson. Now, Alyssa Drayson's been a pleasant surprise here in Season 7. She's 6th in the point standings, and actually moved up to 6th in the point standings after Canadian Tire, after a bit of a chaotic race she had in Canadian Tire, where she, on the last couple of laps, got into it with Zachary Fitzwater and a couple of others, and managed to get a top 10 finish. And while she isn't leading rookie points, she is right now the 2nd highest rookie in the point standings. As I said, she is 6th in the point standings. I'm sorry I can't say 6th very well. I don't know why. It's just kind of difficult. Anyways, 9th currently is Caleb Kilburn, who is 2nd in points, although right now he's losing ground to Jesse Turner, and that's not what he wants in order to try and get to the points lead. But it's kind of ironic. Caleb's in the 99, and he's in the 9th position. Oh god, the WWE Network jokes are coming back to haunt me. It's 9.99. God help us all. Anyway, speaking of 9s, in the 10th position right now is Zach Rogers. Now, Zach Rogers next season, he will return, and he'll still be running Bulldog Motorsports. However, different number style and a different manufacturer, considering I'm about to announce this now. So you might want to pay attention to this little tidbit here. This Saturday, after the Daytona race on Friday, we are going to have sign-ups for the remaining open rides for Season 8 of NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series competition. There are only, to my knowledge, 8 rides open, because a lot of the others either picked to be in there to let them into the series, or some of the reserved rides from people who can't make sign-ups. But don't worry, 8 rides are open, but also Toyota and Dodge is coming back in Season 8. So Zach Rogers will obviously be going to a Dodge team. He's going to run his own team with Bulldog Motorsports. But regardless, right now, trying to stay in the top 10 is right now James Shelley, trying to work his way up into that spot himself. Back up here at the front, however, DJ Curtis still leading the way here at Connecticut, as he's held on to the lead ever since lap 2. Rafael Leduc, I don't know if he's just not got a good enough car to pass DJ Curtis, or is he trying to take his time? Regardless, he's going to have to really try and do something, considering who knows when pit stops are going to happen here in this race. And if I remember, I don't know if I changed the pit frequency from Canadian Tire, so they might end up having to pit more than once, possibly. As I'm looking around the field to keep an eye on things. Battle on for third as Jesse Turner passes Johnny Gardner with ease, moving him up to the 3rd position. As I said, Jesse Turner, the points leader coming into this race, and he's trying to extend on that points lead a little bit as well, as he came into the race leading by only 4 points over his teammate Caleb Kilburn. Right now, he would be leading by 8 points, considering he is, well, actually 9 points, considering he's 5 spots ahead of Caleb Kilburn on track right now. But Johnny Gardner not giving up that easily. He's trying to find a way to get back around Jesse Turner, and it looks like he's about to go to the bottom. Can he make the pass? Or does Jesse Turner just have too much momentum? And in fact, he did have too much momentum, using the outside to stay clear of Gardner. Meanwhile, Jonathan Zorling, who's been in the top 5 pretty much most of the race since about lap 5, he's maybe playing it slow or playing a patient route to try and get up to the front. Now he's about to... Oh, I thought he was going to make a move on Johnny Gardner for 4th, but doesn't quite make it. And then you got Melissa Alexander and Alyssa Drayson, who are the last two in this little group of cars, top 7, kind of close together, within a 1.3 seconds of one another. And then it's about a little over 2.5 seconds on back to Caleb Kilburn in the 8th position. I don't know if there's just something up with these cars or what, but regardless, battle might be raging on for the 4th position. Jonathan Zorling tried to use the bottom to make a move on Johnny Gardner, but to no avail. And meanwhile, Melissa Alexander's now to Zorling's outside. But in turn, that's helping for Alyssa Drayson to maybe make a run for it on the bottom. I don't know, let's watch. As Melissa goes up high, can she make a move on the 41? Oh, yes, she actually might. She actually is going to complete the pass on the outside. Great pass by Melissa Alexander, going on the outside line to pass the 41 of Zorling. Now she might have her sights set on Johnny Gardner to get 4th. Meanwhile, the top 3 are really close together. Jesse Turner, then Rafael Leduc, and DJ Curtis. And DJ Curtis is closing in on potentially getting the most laps led bonus points. And I can definitely tell the lap times are starting to slow down big time for these drivers as they're on older tires. And in fact, fastest lap of the race has been Jonathan Zorling at 23.895. And then compare that with Zorling's previous lap, he was at 26.002. And this lap, he was even slower. So yeah, you can definitely tell with the lap times that these tires are starting to wear out, and they're going to have to come to pit road at some point. But if they can make it past lap 25, then it will only be a one-stop race. And so far, I haven't seen anybody make the move to come to pit road, although a couple of them decide to do so. Looks like it was all led by Jonathan Zorling in the 41, so he led a few cars into pit road along with... Or actually, no, it was Johnny Gardner who came in first, then Zorling, then Zach Rogers, Ryan Acosta, Chris Dollerton, Jessica Sheldon, Dylan Young, and now here comes the leaders in the pit road. I still think it's going to be a one-stop race regardless. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's still going to be a one-stop race as DJ Curtis leads his group of cars in the pit road, but that handed the lead for now to Kyle Matthews in the 42. But these drivers eventually have to come to pit road as well, and I think they're going to come in this time. I'm watching the speeds, and yes, here they come. And that was only 8 cars that stayed out for another extra lap. But now I'm going to try and track down where DJ Curtis might be. There he is. He didn't quite get out ahead. Well, he did get out ahead of Rafael Leduc, but he didn't beat out Jonathan Zorling and Johnny Gardner, although I think they may be tail end of the lead lap. I'll be shocked if these two actually manage to get to the race lead or not. Or they might have, because according to scoring, Johnny Gardner is actually ahead of those guys, so perhaps Johnny Gardner will now be the race leader. So it might have been some other strategy, maybe 2 tires and gas, I'm not sure. But Johnny Gardner, let's see if it's official here at the line, and... yes, it is. Johnny Gardner is officially now the race leader, so the complexion of this race has changed drastically as a result of pit stops. So now the full field rundown will look like this. So currently, Johnny Gardner is the race leader. Second is Jonathan Zorlane. Third is DJ Curtis. Fourth, Rafael Leduc. Fifth is Jesse Turner. Sixth is Melissa Alexander. Seventh, Zach Rogers. Eighth, Alyssa Drayson. Ninth, James Shelley. And then 10th, James Qualls. 11th is Caleb Kilburn. 12th, Joey Parkhill. 13th, Seth Cole. 14th is a battle between Chris Dollarton and Ryan Acosta, but Acosta will go back to 15th. 16th is Dylan Jacobs. 17th, Dylan Young. 18th is Carson Gum. 19th, Clint Spillman. 20th, Jessica Shelton. 21st is Jake Rogers. 22nd, Matt McIntyre. 23rd, Kyle Matthews. 24th, Ricky Karaman. 25th, Benjamin Miles. 26th is Cody Lamas. 27th, Hannah Klein. 28th, Cole Deaver. 29th is Charles Sanford. 30th, Jordan Forbes. 31st, Jay Jefferson. 32nd, Michael Norman. 33rd, Raphael Fireblade. And then a battle for 34th, but currently it's held by Rob Evans, and then 35th, Cole Baker. Currently the bottom 5 would be Henry Sanford, Zachary Fitzwater, Artur Castanha, Joshua Sekuli, and Julia Katrine. Back up here at the front, however, Johnny Gardner still leading the way and is starting to pull away a little bit from Jonathan Zorlane. But Rafael Leduc actually made a pass on DJ Curtis to get up to 3rd, so I gotta wonder if Rafael Leduc might be a bit better than Johnny Gardner on the racetrack. And in fact, I just looked at the lap times, and he was indeed faster than the 24, but he's got to find a way around Zorlane if he's going to have a shot at perhaps running down Johnny Gardner to take the race lead away. Although Leduc also has to be a little bit conservative to make sure that DJ Curtis doesn't capitalize on that and reel in the 62. But now, speaking of the 62, here he comes underneath for a shot at trying to get up to 2nd. But as we've seen, the outside lane can be beneficial to some drivers to maintain spots, and it looked like right there, Zorlane was able to use the outside to keep the position. So I feel like perhaps Leduc might have had a slower lap time as a result, and in fact he did lose a little bit of ground to Gardner because he tried to go to the bottom to make the pass. I don't know, some people can make the bottom work, it's just a matter of carrying speed off the corners is really the big key factor of who's going to be able to get positions on track. Meanwhile, as far as intervals, both Zorlane and Leduc are closing in on Johnny Gardner, but just not by a substantial amount, and DJ Curtis might be playing it quiet to perhaps run down the 2 in front of him and maybe go for a multi-pass. Margin of the lead now is 1 3/4 of a second. So yeah, the 41 and the 62 are slowly closing in on the 24, but they're going to have to really push it in these final 13 and a half laps if they're going to be able to have a shot at perhaps winning this race. Considering I don't think we're going to see any more pit stops. If we do, I'll be genuinely shocked. But regardless, this is how it's all turning out right now. And Rafael Leduc, I don't know if he just doesn't have the car to pass anybody, or, well, I guess I shouldn't say to pass anyone, considering he did go by DJ Curtis to get up to 3rd. It's just a matter of trying to close in on the 41 and making a move. But like I said, seems like you want to be on the outside line to make passes. Although both Zorlane and Leduc gained quite a bit of time on Gardner, actually about a half a second's worth of lap times. Something might be up with Gardner's car, that or he's pushing it too hard, trying to stay ahead. So we might have a 3-car fight for the lead coming up very, very shortly. And then the margin closed up by 2/10 that previous lap. Meanwhile, it looks like DJ Curtis is actually losing time. Meanwhile, Leduc trying to use the bottom, but again, You want to be on the outside line to make a pass. And Zorline's able to take advantage of that and hold him off. Meanwhile, now it's under a second between the top three. We could be in for some craziness here as it's now less than 10 laps to go. We're getting closer and closer to the end of this race. Johnny Gardner trying to do all he can to stay ahead of Zorline and Leduc to try and get his first win of the season. And actually that lap right there, Gardner was able to have a faster lap than Zorline and Leduc. So perhaps now Gardner feels he's going to have to really push it and run the track in a smarter fashion in order to keep himself up at the front. Although I think this lap he's about to lose a little bit of time. Let's see. Indeed, he did lose a little bit of time, almost a little over 2/10 again. So, and now it's side by side for second between Leduc and Zorline. Let's see what happens going into turn 3. Zorline again running the preferred line on the outside to keep the position, and because of that, Gardner's actually going to pull out a little bit. Let's see. Kind of back to what it was the lap before last. Leduc trying to make a pass, but again, you don't want to make the pass on the bottom. You need to go to the outside to make a pass on someone, but Leduc, he just seems to be keen on running behind Zorline. You can definitely tell the margin closed in big time this time, because now they're all three in the same, almost in the same frame together. Zorline is a little over 3/10 back, and Leduc is a little over 4/10 back. 4/10 back is Leduc, 3/10 back is Zorline, so we might be shaping up for an interesting finish here as we're coming to 5 laps to go here at Connecticut. The margin now closed in a little bit, and Zorline tried to stick his nose. He's got a nose underneath Gardner, but I don't know if he'll be able to clear him or make the pass or not, considering Zorline's on the bottom and Gardner's running up top. But Leduc finally goes to the outside. Can he make the pass on Zorline, though? He's got the momentum to carry it forward, but that might have sealed the deal for Gardner to get the win, unless somehow Leduc can stay up high and close in on the 24 again. But Leduc finally going to the outside, where it's faster and you can get a run on. Meanwhile, we got a battle going on for 4th between DJ Curtis and Jesse Turner, as Turner's trying to use the bottom, but again, to no avail. And Leduc trying to clear Jonathan Zorline, and he finally does, but I don't think he's going to be able to run down Gardner unless he really pushes it. 4/10 of a second separate the top two, and Leduc, he is closing in on Gardner, trying to go to the outside, but Gardner shut the door on him. Leduc had a run on the outside, but Gardner blocked his move going into turn 3. Meanwhile, a little over 1/10 of a second separating the top two with now 2 laps to go. Does Leduc have anything for the 24 car? Man, it's going to be interesting, though, I will say that for sure, as we're getting ready to take the white flag here at Connecticut, and Gardner trying to do all he can to hold off Rafael Leduc. White flag is out. Leduc lost a little bit of time on that previous lap. He's going to have to dive it into turn 3 and hope it sticks in order to make the pass, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. Gardner's just out in that clean air to keep the spot. And we're getting ready to come off of turn number 4 for the final time. Checkered flag is getting ready to wave. Johnny Gardner finally gets his first win of Season 7, and he gets it at Connecticut. Great pit strategy for Johnny Gardner. Somehow, someway managed to beat out DJ Curtis, who led coming into pit road for himself. But man, I thought Gardner was about to be messed up because of how quickly Leduc and Zorline were closing in on him, but he was able to stay up front and hold them off to win the race. Huge win for Johnny Gardner, to say the very least. But let's look at the rest of the results. Rafael Leduc gets his best finish in quite a while, finishing in second, although he would have loved to have gotten the win, but he just couldn't quite make the pass on the 24 in time. But still a great point stay regardless in the second position. Jonathan Zorline, who gets a feel-good run in third, almost had a shot to win this race as well. DJ Curtis, who led the most laps, but I believe that he's led the most laps. He led the first half of the race predominantly, but still gets a great run in fourth. And then Jesse Turner looks like he'll extend his points lead as he finished in fifth. Melissa Alexander with a great run in the sixth position. There we go. Alyssa Drayson with a solid run in the seventh spot. Zach Rogers, best finish he's had in a while, finishing in eighth. James Qualls, who gets a good run in ninth, and then rounding out the top 10 was James Shelley. Then there's your top 20, top 30, and then the bottom 5 for this week was Zachary Fitzwater, Michael Norman, Cole Baker, Rob Evans, and Julia Katrine. Zachary Fitzwater has been on a downward spiral as of late, as you're watching Johnny Gardner's victory burnout here at Connecticut. Next race, it'll be the halfway point, and we head back to where it all began, at Daytona. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Daytona. This is Levi McIntyre, signing off.